Well, now to the civil war in Myanmar. The country's military junta is dealing with some of its biggest setbacks in decades, a devastated economy and a series of defeats in small-scale battles against rebels across the country. The KNU rebel group raised their flag last week in a critical trade town along the Thai border. But junta troops have been trying to take back the territory, and fighting flared up again over the weekend. Myanmar has been in crisis since 2021, when the junta launched a coup deposing the democratically elected civilian government. Growing anger over military rule has evolved into a nationwide resistance movement. Well, meantime, the son of Myanmar's former leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, says he fears for her health and safety. The pro-democracy leader and Nobel laureate has been detained since that military coup. She was recently moved from a prison to house arrest, that's according to the military. Myanmar's military government says she was moved to protect her from overbearing heat. But speaking with Reuters, her son said he believes the junta leadership are using her as a human shield. Well, Kim Aris, son of Myanmar's former leader Aung San Suu Kyi, joins me now from London. Kim, thank you so much. Tell us about the last correspondence or contact that you had with your mother.
Well, the last I actually heard from my mother was when I received a letter from her in January of this year. That was after I'd sent her a care package along with a letter back in September last year, when we heard that she was very unwell. And that was the first time I was allowed to send her anything since before the coup.
And Kim, tell me, what are you learning about her condition, her state of mind and her health?
From the letter, I gather that the conditions she's been held under are pretty barbaric. I think at that time, she was very cold, whereas now I believe it's unbearably hot in Burma. And the cell she's in doesn't provide any sort of, insulation against either the heat or the cold. So I also know that she's been suffering from ongoing dental problems, which is making eating extremely difficult.
Kim, you talk about the unbearable heat, and the junta says that they have moved her from the prison to house arrest because of this heat wave. Do you believe that? And what are their motives, I guess, of making this information public?
It's hard to know their motives, and as far as whether she's been moved or not, that's questionable as well. There's conflicting reports coming out. In the past, they have said that she's been moved to house arrest, and that has proved to be completely not the case. Her only house is the house that she has in Rangoon, and she's definitely not there.
So where do you believe that Aung San Suu Kyi is right now?
I believe she's either still in prison or she's in the residence of a military official.
Okay. You have said in some of your interviews with the press that you believe the junta is using your mother as a human shield. Can you please elaborate?
Well, as the fighting is getting closer and closer, I think it serves the military's purpose for the resistance forces not to know where my mother is, so that they find it harder to target strikes against the military in Naypyidaw. The less they know of my mother's whereabouts, the harder it is for them.
As we know, the junta is under enormous pressure. They're facing losses to rebel groups on the battlefield. What more can you tell us about the situation on the ground from the people that you speak to in Myanmar?
I'm afraid I don't have access to any more news than anybody else. What comes out of Burma is very, sporadic, and nobody really knows what's going on the ground, I think. But by all indications, the military are losing ground everywhere. And according to the best estimates, the resistance forces are in control of more than 60% of the land mass.
Kim, tell me, what sort of contact does your mother have with the outside world? You mentioned this letter that you have received, the first in, what, 3 years since she's been under arrest. What about contact with her lawyers? Did she speak to them on a regular basis?
No, she's not been allowed to meet with her legal counsel. I believe they've been trying to meet for some time and nothing has come of that. As far as I'm aware, she's not been able to see anybody outside of military personnel or prison personnel since last year at some point, I think was the last time she saw her lawyers.
Kim, Aung San Suu Kyi, as you know, is serving a 27-year sentence. Do you believe that you will see your mother again, that you will one day soon be reunited?
I do believe I will. I don't think the military will be able to hold on to power for too much longer. The situation in Burma is unsustainable. The economy, is broken. The health system is broken. There is no law and order in Burma at the moment. And if that is to be restored, then the military need to hand back power to a civilian government.
Kim, your mother has sacrificed so much, decades of her life, her family, for her political beliefs. What do you believe will be your mother's legacy?
I believe she will be remembered for leading Burma into democracy through a peaceful revolution. I know that democracy was tenuous and it has now been broken by this military coup. But that democracy has given the youth of Burma today the taste of freedom which they deserve. And I hope that will carry through into the future.
We can only hope, and that your mother will be there at the forefront. Kim Aris, we thank you for your time. We're thinking of you and your family and of Aung San Suu Kyi.
Thank you, Anna.